Welcome to the second module of the Knowledge Mobilization Training Series, Advanced Physical Activity Planning. In this second section of the Advanced Planning module, we will look closer at action planning and how it can be used for helping clients translate their intentions for meeting the physical activity guidelines into behavior. As discussed in the first module of the Knowledge Mobilization Training Series, action planning is the process by which action plans are made. Action plans are strategic plans or detailed outlines of the steps to be taken to engage in a specific behavior. You may have heard in the past that the road to behavior is paved with good intentions. Intentions alone will only get us so far, and that is where action plans are useful. Research supporting the use of action planning for increasing physical activity behavior was discussed in detail in the first section of this module. From this research, we know that action plans strengthen the intention-behavior relationship. That is, if you plan it, you are more likely to do it. We also know that action planning can help promote moderate to heavy intensity physical activity. Now let's talk about how we can get clients to form action plans for engaging in physical activity. Essentially, there are 3 steps to forming an action plan. First, you want clients to choose an appropriate length of time to plan for. For those clients who are just starting out, it may be best to get them to focus on forming short-term action plans. For example, get them to make a plan for the next week. Next, you want to get the client to choose a list of activities that they enjoy doing, that they can do, in order to meet the aerobic and strength training recommendations. Examples may include swimming, wheeling, hand cycling, lifting weights, and playing sports. You want to make sure that clients choose activities that they would like to do, as people are more likely to stick to their action plans if they enjoy the activity. Recall the physical activity guidelines for adults with spinal cord injury. These guidelines state that, for important fitness benefits, adults with a spinal cord injury should engage in at least 20 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity aerobic activity 2 times per week, as well as strength training activity on 2 days of the week. Strength training sessions should include 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions of each exercise for each major muscle group. In the second step of action planning, it is important to have your client include both aerobic and strengthening activities, as the physical activity guidelines recommend that adults should engage in both types of activities to obtain fitness benefits. The third step to forming an action plan includes specifying details about the what, where, when, and how of the activities, and then adding these details to a calendar. These details include what activities, where they will take place, when they will take place, including both the date and time of day, as well as the duration, or how long, and intensity, or how hard, the activities will be done for. In terms of intensity, you are aiming to have your clients work towards including moderate to vigorous intensity activities into their action plans. Moderate intensity activities require some physical effort, but the client can keep doing them for a while without getting tired. On the other hand, vigorous intensity activities require a lot of physical effort, and these activities cannot be done for very long without getting tired. Moderate and vigorous intensity activities are, of course, the ultimate goal. What is important is that clients gradually progress to these higher levels of intensity. You want them to aim for a little muscle soreness, but not intense pain. With any action plan, precision is the key. Make sure that clients include all of the details previously mentioned in step 3. What, where, when, and how. Let's see what an action plan might look like. Here, the individual has made an action plan for the next week. After writing out a list of activities that he would enjoy doing, he slotted the activities into his week so that they do not interfere with his work, family schedule, or other commitments. Note the level of detail specified for each day of activity. The what, where, when, how long, and how hard have been laid out ahead of time. For example, on Sunday, he is going to go for a wheel around the block in his neighborhood after dinner at 7 p.m. He is going to wheel for 20 minutes or 3 times around the block at a moderate intensity. Monday will be a day off. On Tuesday, he is going to work on some resistance exercises for his chest and arms using a resistance band at home. Again, he is going to do this after dinner for about 20 minutes at a moderate resistance. And so the week continues. Action plans can be useful for helping your clients keep track of how many days of aerobic and strength training activity they do. They should aim for 2 days of aerobic activity and 2 days of strength training activity each week. Let's look again at the previous action plan example. Note that this individual included 2 days of moderate to vigorous aerobic activity, that is, wheeling on Sunday and swimming on Thursday. On each of these days, he is going to do these activities for at least 20 minutes. This week coincides with the aerobic recommendations in the physical activity guidelines. This action plan also includes 2 days of moderate strength training exercises, represented by the green highlighted boxes. Thus, this action plan meets both the aerobic and strength training recommendations in the physical activity guidelines for adults with spinal cord injury. It is important to note that if a client is just starting out, it is recommended that they gradually progress to the level of intensity and duration that are recommended in the physical activity guidelines. It is also important to include a variety in one's action plan. In this example, the individual has planned to do 2 types of aerobic activity, swimming and wheeling. He has also decided to change the location of his strength training routine. At home 1 day with resistance bands, and at a local gym the 2nd day with weights. SCI Action Canada has developed the SCI Get Fit Toolkit that is available to download from our website. This toolkit contains useful tips and information on physical activity, including forming action plans. The toolkit can be found under the Physical Activity Resources tab. If you click on Get Fit Toolkit from the drop-down menu, you will be directed to the toolkit webpage where you can download the toolkit as well as find more detailed physical activity information such as suggested activities, benefits of physical activity, and safety tips. In the toolkit section of the website, you will also find sample action plans to help get individuals started with forming their own action plans. Let's take a look at these samples. This first sample action plan is targeted towards individuals who are just starting a new physical activity routine. In this particular example, you can see a variety of activities planned for both aerobic and strengthening activity. You may also notice that these action plans do not meet the physical activity guidelines for adults with spinal cord injury. For this particular individual who is just becoming active, the goal is to get them to start planning for activities that they will enjoy doing to help increase their current activity level. They would then gradually progress to meeting the physical activity guidelines. Hence, the duration of their activity in the beginning may be less than the recommended 20 minutes per session for aerobic activity. In this case, they scheduled 10 minutes per session. The frequency of activity is also less than the recommendation of 2 days per week for both aerobic and strengthening activities. It is important to make sure that the client plans for rest days in between their activity sessions in order to allow their body to recover. Once the individual has been active for some time and is finding they need to be more challenged, you can get them to focus on ensuring their action plans are in line with the physical activity guidelines. For example, in this action plan, the individual has planned to do at least 20 minutes of aerobic exercise on 2 days of the week, Sunday and Thursday, as well as 2 days of strength training activity on 2 days of the week, Tuesday and Saturday. Note that there is variety in the activities and in the settings, and that the activities are going to be done at a moderate to vigorous intensity. Here's a third action plan example for those clients who have been meeting the physical activity guidelines on a regular basis. It may be time for them to ramp up the intensity of their regular routine. In this particular example, you will notice that 3 of the 4 activities have been planned to be a mixture of both moderate and vigorous intensity. Over time, the individual may try to work towards engaging in more moderate intensity activity versus moderate intensity activity. Now that you have seen some example action plans, we hope that you feel more confident discussing the importance of action planning and how it can be used as a tool to help your clients meet the physical activity guidelines. Remember, though, that for action plans to be effective, they must be detailed, realistic, planned for short periods at a time, and include a variety of activities and settings. This concludes the second section of Module 2. In the third and final section, we will discuss the importance of forming coping plans with specific examples.